Patrick,
Yes, how's it going,
how you
boy?
doing?
All good, all good.
Good, good. Yeah, no, I wanted to have a conversation, just to chat and following up on your just recently finished the 12-week program, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, seeing your growth and what you've shown, some of the stats you mentioned, we'll get into that, right? We'll get into that.
yeah,
We'll hold that for later. But just to give an introduction, you're a elite level amateur golfer in
yeah,
Ireland, right?
yeah.
One of the top amateurs in Ireland, looking to go pro 2026,
That's
2027.
correct. Yep.
And yeah, you've been, I mean, you tell me, you tell us. And we started in October, was it?
Yeah, so I initially messaged you around about September time. I was actually funny
Yeah.
enough competing at a tournament then, and I wasn't obviously in a good position. So I reached out to you around about October time through a friend, Dara McGeown, who owns a gym in Focus. And since then, like even something that I never done before was kept data on golf. So that was one thing that we set out from the word go.
Mhm.
And the results that I've seen over the past 3, 4 months have been really good. 3 or 4 shots better throughout the winter, and that's all you can do up until the new season starts. So I'm really, really
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
So talk us through that for people who, I suppose, like myself, aren't golfers, right? But know enough to be dangerous with a club, right? Around a golf course. So before you started, where were you at? What was it like for you?
Again, I thought I was playing good golf. Results showed that I was playing okay, but then obviously when I put proper practice in, which we again implemented really early on, and broke it down into like simple sections of making sure that my practice is proper before going into that performance in March or April. It's been so much better. I didn't think I had that in me, and now that I do know that, I can then keep progressing. I know that there's so much more to give. Obviously, if you're in a better place off the golf course, you'll be a better person on the golf course. That's for sure, and I've definitely seen that over the past 3, 4 months.
Talk to us about that. So, in a better place off the course when you go to training, then how does that show up?
Yeah, I think mentally, like obviously, again, like I said, you sleep wasn't good. It just wasn't getting out of the house. It was just in a wee bubble of my own, just being comfortable, if that's the word. And since then, I've been actually getting to the gym. I've been back working. My sleep's been much, much improved, and that gives me a clear focus on the golf course. Like when you're playing golf, you're playing golf. When you're going to sleep, you're going to sleep. You're not juggling 45 things at a time that's going through your head. Everything's just clear. Everything's just what you want to do, and then I can just go from there.
Good. And I think recapping on that, even from the first session, right? 90
Yeah,
minute session, as you know, now a big emphasis of mine is psychoeducation, right? Helping you understand what's been going on for you, what's been holding you back, ultimately what you can do about it, right? To get to a
yeah,
better place. Again, not just on the course, but off it. Because we always find when I work with athletes, we start what's happening off the course, what's happening outside of the sport. When you're turning up to your training, when you're turning up to competition in a good place mentally, it has a correlation with your performance, right?
definitely is because whenever like maybe a year ago I was worried about things that have went on in the past, things that are not going well at the moment, and I wasn't focusing on purely what I was supposed to do, which is playing golf. And one thing that I mentioned to you when I was playing well in the golf tournament in Wales was like I was just in free flow. That's the way you're supposed to be playing your sport or doing your everyday life, and I just wasn't doing that. So over these last 3, 4 months, again, like you said, you train the brain. It's like a muscle. You keep repetitive training, and before you know it, you can actually be that focus that you want to be in the golf course or business or whatever sort of walk of life you have.
Consistently, right?
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
main one, right? Because I think when you mentioned that one in Wales, you were going well, and then it was
Yeah, it
like the
was.
13th hole or
Yeah,
something.
I was leading the golf tournament, and then a three putt from about 6 feet to go to two clear, and it got to me mentally, and then I just thought about that there when it's just letting it go, accepting for what it is. Like I can't change the result anymore. It's happened, but I didn't do that, and unfortunately, I paid the price.
Yeah. And I've worked with a number of golfers. I think I mentioned that to you before, and that was a big one, like a shot that didn't go your way, or you didn't that wasn't up to your scratch, right?
Yeah,
That can have a big impact in the following shots. But
definitely.
when you can reset in the moment, and there's a lot more to it than just reset in the moment, right? Because we talked over a number of sessions about confidence, right?
Yeah,
Both off and on course, off and on the training. How was that for you? Talk to me about that.
I think again, I think it's like anything. So we set out a lot of goals, whether it was sleep or whether it was eating better or putting on weight or going to the gym, whatever it was. And I think consistently doing that over time built little bits of confidence. And then obviously that sort of seeped into the golf game. And again, putting in the 4 or 5 hours practice when it's raining, no one wants to go out. I'm there practicing every single day that I can. It definitely builds up that confidence and you can do it. And it's not a fluke. You do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times. It's a knock-on effect. And I think that's been a real good thing for my confidence and self-belief.
And you said just before we started recording about data, right? And about
Yes.
data being a big thing since we started.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So before we started, I thought my golf was in a pretty decent spot considering where I was off the golf course, and it was averaging around 4.5 to 5 under in the winter, which is okay. And then I got to the start of January. Obviously, the golf's not been great at the moment with the weather and stuff, but my scores went up 3.5 shots, which is a massive amount in golf. Even half a shot's really good, but going up 3 in my practice is going, okay, there's improvement there. Can I keep knocking that on? Can I keep pushing it on? Maybe get to 10 or 11? Because the more you do better, the more you want more, and the more you can believe you can do more.
Mm-hmm. And that data in the physical performance, right, on the course, do you think there's a correlation with your mental performance over the past?
Surely, yeah. Like I remember even starting with you, my head Dell score, not head Dell score, sorry, just my overall assessment score was 30, 37, 38 maybe out of 100. And I think the last test I done with you was low 70s, which again, it was probably naive of me to come in and think right at the start, I'll be good in a couple of weeks. It doesn't work like that. It's just pure repetition, training. And obviously I can see the improvements now, and it's definitely been really good, both off and on the golf course, as I said.
And just on that, you mentioned a couple of times sleep, right? Because that from the very beginning, from the
Yeah.
very first session, right? So before we start, we have an initial phone call, right?
Yep.
Just so I can understand what your current challenges are, right? What you want to achieve, and to
Yeah.
ensure the program and us working together over the next while is going to be a good fit, because obviously it's just me, only have limited spaces, right? One thing you mentioned from the very start was sleep and trying to get that back on track. So talk to us about where it was before we started and where it's at now.
Yeah. So whenever I first started with you, it was any time from 1 o'clock to 5. It was just, there was no sort of routine about it. I was waking up at, 1 in the afternoon, and there's 6 hours of your day gone, 5 hours of your day gone. And then that was golf that I should have been doing, or even working with my dad, that I just was pushing to the side. And obviously sleep, as we all know, is very, very important for, memory consolidation and rest. And what else was I going to say? Just consolidation of memories, and just, getting your body in a proper spot for the day. And you can't cheat sleep. You can't, it's just impossible. And I think the challenges that I've came across over the couple of weeks is trying to just bring it back and making sure that I get a consistent sleep time. So it's now around 10 or 11 p.m. Making sure I do breathing techniques, audios before I go to bed, making sure I do my journaling. And even with going to work now with my dad, I'm up at 7 every morning. So now it's in a really, really good spot.
And you talked there about the audios and so on. How did you find? We talked a lot about what you're doing and the wind down. Do you remember the wind down right
Yeah.
before sleep? Because the
Yeah.
brain doesn't switch off. There's a
No,
narrative that
no, it doesn't.
you can't go from scrolling or watching something that's stimulating to just sleeping. Right? There's a wind down that's best
Yeah.
for not just quality but quantity. Right?
Yeah.
And then in that wind down is a real, it's a great window of opportunity for preparing yourself for good sleep, right? Good quality and
Absolutely.
quantity sleep. So what was that wind down like for you that we worked on?
So what worked for me was breathing techniques. So I've done about 10 or 15 minutes of breathing techniques, done like a 5 minute meditation just to really calm my body down. And then if I felt like I wasn't sleepy, I'd maybe watch a video that you've showed me. So obviously through the Head Dial app, which I'm sure people will get to know very soon, you've a full media section. So I just watched the video, maybe 10, 15 minutes, just sit, eyes closed, just take it in. And then it was just simply go to bed, and it's just been falling asleep a lot faster. Again, with the audio that you give out on your Twins app straight off the bat, it was something very different for me because I don't really like blasting stuff in my ears at night. So I just sat it down by my ear and just fell asleep quite quickly.
Good. And So back to that, the performance, right?
Hmm.
The correlation with the physical performance and gaining several shots at your level is
Yep.
not a small adjustment, right?
No.
So overall, what do you think the big difference was for you mentally that changed?
Well, I think obviously before, I think it's the physical output on the golf course. So I wasn't practicing correctly. I think that's something me and my coach Johnny have been talked about for years. Like I hadn't been practicing correctly. So we set out to do 30 minutes of incremental work on every part of the game, whether it was putting, chipping, wedges, long game driving, and then play holes, see where you're at, take the weakness and try build on it from the next day. And I think mentally, when I say started to see improvements, especially in my wedges, which is one thing that you nailed right on from me, is tell yourself you're a good wedge player. I'm a good wedge player. I'm a good wedge player. Consistently telling yourself that, you see the results on the golf course, then it's like, right, okay, I can do this. I am good at this. And then it's just a knock-on effect from there.
And one thing on that, it's not just blindly telling yourself that
No.
I'm good at it, I'm good at it. You remember we reflected on the ones that went well
Yeah.
and we honed in on them because you're going to have good wedge shots, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have good shots in certain areas that previously you might have said that's my weak spot. But actually, when
Yeah.
you look at it, is it possible that you can hit great shots from
Yeah.
that off that shot?
It
Yes,
is.
right. That's the fact of it, right? So we didn't just because this goes deeper into beliefs. Do you remember? We did a lot of
Yeah.
work on core beliefs and limiting beliefs
Yeah.
because you had said it several times like my I'm known I'm my drive's the best, right? Like that's
Yeah.
my strength.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, what's your weakness? And you said, I think it was
Putting and chipping
wedges,
came off very quickly.
but and came off like that, right? So it was like that's what you were telling yourself, right? That was, but
Yeah.
it was a belief. It was a real belief. So we didn't just say, look, tell yourself I'm good putter, good chipper. No, it's like after every session, do you remember every training session reflect,
Yeah.
right? What went well, what didn't, what you can improve, and how did you feel mentally? How did you feel emotionally? And what did you take from it?
Yeah.
So then we built on that. So building on, so it's not blindly I'm good at wedges, but where's the fact, where's the data,
Yeah.
and building on that to the point where you go again. So it's that controlled exposure, right? You do it again, you come back, reflect, do it again, back, reflect, and then over time you've got this new body of evidence that actually, hold on a
Yeah.
second, the core belief has now been challenged, right?
Yeah.
And it's been almost reset. So those negative automatic thoughts that were associated with that limiting belief are now very different.
Yeah. Like even there, we talked about Wales and as saying about, leading the golf tournament with two of the best probably players that I've ever played with. And you were like, well, that's your evidence. And that was something that I didn't think about when I'd finished the golf tournament. I was just so worried about, having 40 putts or having 42 putts or hitting a wedge shot into the bunker from the middle of fairway. I was just more focused on the negatives as opposed to, right, taking the positives of what I was doing at that time. That's a big switch for me as well. Just focusing on the positives and accepting what happened and just brushing it aside and then, going after it the next time you play.
Yeah, good. And what then off the course do you think, and outside of training that we worked on, what do you think had the most impact when you were arriving to training, when you were, preparing for competition, or like what do you think had the most impact off the field? We talked about sleep, but what else?
I would probably say sleep, but I would say I think obviously there's a social aspect for me as well. So like I said, from the start I was just, protect myself in the bubble, not going outside, not doing nothing, just behind a screen pretty much half the day. And I think getting to that point where you're really, really comfortable again outside, it just allowed me to free me up on the golf course a wee bit rather than playing on my own or whacking a pair of headphones in and just sinking into your phone. It was just actually focusing on golf. That's what I'm there to do. That's what I'm there to practice for. And just, being in that headspace was just a lot more comfortable.
And focus being the big word there.
Yeah.
What helped with focus, do you think, throughout the program? We do the psychometric check-ins, right? Where
Yeah.
we look at long-term goals, break them down into performance scales, and then into shorter-term goals, and then the CBT questions that go along with that. How did you find that process? And then
Very good.
following that, your recordings, right? Your audio
Yeah.
recordings.
with the goals, I think we nailed all of them. Some of them took longer, as you know, like the work one or sleep took longer, but that's okay. I can accept that. But I think if looking back last week, I actually hit all of them, which is really, really good. Even like the simple ones like weight, I'd lost a lot of weight before I came on to speak to you, and it's all back on already. So, going to the gym, eating good, eating cleaner, drinking water, just really small things that people might not think it's important. That for me it was, and it was a goal that I set out to achieve, and I achieved it. So again, that's another thing of confidence and self belief. Okay, I can do these tiny wee things, and you can like build them into bigger goals, which ultimately we're trying to do in the next couple of months.
And one thing that I talk about when people say about the physical side of things,
Yep,
do you think it would, mentally, did that put you in a better position to go and train physically?
100%.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Because as I said to you, I was going to the gym once a week, and it was just going there. Whereas I found like it for to go to the gym, it helps with my purpose and my focus. What is my purpose and focus? To play golf, keep my back right, because obviously, as you know, my spine when I was 20, 21, I wasn't told I was going to play golf. So again, there are my two focuses: making sure that my body's healthy, that I can actually, go for a walk, go play golf, go out with my friends, whatever I want to do, but also when it's time to play golf, I can play golf.
What then, a little change of direction, what's been your biggest win then over the 12 weeks, like for you personally?
Sleep.
Okay.
Sleep. It was such a bad spot. I don't think people who probably watch this video will know how bad it was. Um, so even just falling asleep on the click of a finger now is just so nice. I think eating cleaner as well is just something like that. It's easy to just jump into the drawer and pick a chocolate bar out and away you go. That's not good for you. 2 hours later, you'll be regretting it. So I think probably those two things, along with obviously my performance in golf, I would say is probably the biggest wins for me.
Good. And what have you found the most, what have you enjoyed the most from the structure from of the 12 weeks? What did you enjoy the most?
Do you know what? Probably talking to you about golf. Like I think a lot of the people that I play with probably don't know it on a level that I do, and it's just nice to tell someone what I sort of go through on a daily basis. Obviously, talking with Dad's dad, but I think with you, obviously, you have a little bit of an interest in golf too, so it's nice to see someone like that who you can just chat with and just rhyme off what you're thinking.
Good. Yeah. Because you get them perspective when you hear yourself speaking about these things, right?
Yeah, well,
You
obviously,
get,
you've worked in the NNS scene or jiu-jitsu scene. I playing golf, so it's nice to bounce off, things that you've might have learned that I can maybe take into my game, and sometimes maybe that you might like something that I hear or say, and you could take it into your side. It's nice to speak to someone from a different sporting background.
well, one of the things there that goes across all the athletes that I work with is the performance mindset series. We talked about the process versus results paradox. We talk about, remember, the process.
Yeah,
What was that like for you?
it was good. I think the big one that I was very honed in on was the learning versus performance zones. I think that was around about week 2 or week 3, if I believe. And I was so stuck in the learning zone. I was just constantly looking at my golf swing, just playing holes, focused on my practice. Where when it came to performance, I was just stuck. And obviously, results show that. Results don't lie.
Tell us more about that.
So obviously, whenever I was going to places for tournaments, I was, working on your swing on the range. That's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to be just focused on the shots that you're going to play within the round. So, going to a Port Stewart where you need to hit the ball a bit lower and make sure you run the ball up the green or whatever it is, avoid pot bunkers. I was just focused on my golf swing on the range, where it wasn't the actual flights and the trajectories and spin rates that I was actually needing for that week, and I was just completely stuck. So seeing that there come out of the blue for me was just like, that's really, really good information for me. And that way, whenever I go to the next tournament, I can just break it down. So obviously, my first tournament will be in May in Port Rush. So again, thinking of how I'm going to attack that golf course, and then the month later, I'm on a completely different golf course. So again, that's good for me to bounce off.
One of the things that we work on a lot is the visual imagery, obviously, right? Through
Yeah,
hypnosis, through visualization, through the
yeah,
NLP anchors, right?
yeah.
And how did you find, first of all, the hypnosis and your recordings?
So the hypnosis, I'm sure you probably get this quite regularly. It was very skeptical at the start. again, the first one was a little bit uncomfortable because you're not used to that sort of state that you're in. You're very relaxed. You're just sitting there with your eyes closed, really focused on, things you're saying. But obviously throughout the weeks you can see that there's a big impact on it. The NLPs, I liked it because I actually think they really hone down what you wanted to do for the day. So obviously you wake up in the morning, you play it in your ear. That's the first thing that comes into your brain, rather than some of the negative things that you may wake up to beforehand. So I think that switch is definitely was really good for me.
Good. And then the anchors. Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so that was probably the week 8, I believe. That was probably the
Mhm.
big changing point for me, and I remember your reaction to it when I first told you about it. Stepping on that day, doing obviously it's strange how you hold two things together and your whole state can change. It was crazy, but it was eye opening for me.
And you told a story about you're in Spain at what is it, a PGA
Yeah, so
tour
we're playing
course,
a
is it?
European Tour event. Oh, well, European Tour golf course event over in Tenerife, Obama, and I was doing it the first day, and a couple actually knew what I was doing. But when I've done it back home, no one knew what I was doing. So it's just crazy how people from different backgrounds have seen that, but not actually implemented it themselves.
Mhm. And the confidence levels being one thing, right? Because obviously part of that, those recordings and so on, is confidence, but also being backed up by your performance physically,
Yeah,
right? And your
yeah.
reflections and so on. What was your journey with confidence from before you started to where you're at now? For you personally, how would you describe your confidence levels?
Oh, they're definitely so much higher. At the start, I was probably confident, but it wasn't, real confidence. It was just like I am good. It's not. It wasn't like you weren't saying it with your chest out. I think now, you see the results, your confidence grows, and that's just very common now. But I think for me, the confidence is really, really good. I think self belief more so than anything. Confidence is good for me, but I think self belief, knowing now that I actually can do that, I can see the results, what I'm getting, and if I just keep continuing on this path, then I'm not sure where to lead me, but it should lead me in a good spot.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you continue this trajectory, don't forget it's been 12 weeks, right? And
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? People think, 12 weeks, and again, it's with the mind to be able to quantify things can be difficult, right? But we use psychometric scales, we use different things, head dial, and so on.
yeah,
But with the this mental skills training, right? Because that's what it is. It's real mental skills training that we're doing. And what would you say? Because people might think 12 weeks. How can you
yeah.
get like increased confidence, increased performance, better sleep, and so on in 12 weeks? What would you say?
3 months. It is a long time. You can do it in the blink of an eye. Like as we went through with our confidence anchor, that was one wee tiny thing can just raise it. And that was, again, like I said, a big eye opener for me that if you can do such a small thing and change your state so quickly and have a prolonged effect, then there's no reason why 12 weeks isn't enough time. It might take people longer. I get that. It might take people shorter. But I think if you consistently do what you're told to do and what you set out to do, then there's no reason why you can't change your mind in your life. I think we've sent videos of like Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, Tiger Woods, all these different athletes, and they're all doing the same thing that you've suggested to me, but obviously worded a little bit differently. And obviously, look where they are in the world of sport.
Mhm. And also throughout the whole 12 weeks, anything that I assigned you, so everything that I assigned to every
Yeah,
client is individual, right? It's based on what we cover in session throughout that 12 weeks,
yeah,
based on what I think is best for you in that moment to get you to progress through the weeks, right?
yeah,
But everything I assigned you, you did. Right? That's also the difference, right? It's not all
yeah,
just there's some magic wand here. There's
yeah.
work involved, right? What would you say to that?
I mean, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
I've took time off you in order to, progress my life. And if I'm not doing the work, then what's the point? So, I set out a goal to do. If I do the work, I will see the rewards. I think I've seen this quite a lot where people say therapy doesn't help. And I wonder why, because you don't actually put in the work. It's not hard. Yes, it might be boring, but you will see the rewards for it later down the line. It's not just a quick fix. As long as you're going for a long term fix rather than a short term, you will see it.
And that's the thing, right? moving forward? It's not like the work is finished now. It's
No,
just
no,
it's. I
definitely
mean,
not.
you tell me these are things that like you've got for life now, right?
Yeah, like as I said to my dad as well, it's even, the first couple of weeks I was coming in expecting perfection. I'll be back in 3, 4 weeks. It was never going to work like that. Reviewing it. So I think even 20 years down the line, if something happens, I know now how to deal with it correctly, rather than just curling up into a ball and just not reframing correctly. So you're not going to have good days every day, but when the bad days do come, I'll know how to reflect on them, review them properly now, and move forward.
Yeah. Well, speaking of moving forward, where do you see things going now? What are you excited for in the future?
Well, obviously golf. I mean, that's a big thing that you've sort of trying to nail into me the last couple of weeks and months. Really, really looking forward to the golf season this year. Obviously, with the weather outside, it doesn't look too good at the minute, but I think over the next couple of weeks, again, if we can just get out to the golf course, just keep progressing, and I cannot wait for the first tournament to come, just to see now where I've came from compared to even 12 months ago, let alone 3 months ago.
Mhm.
Because I
And
do
what?
have that confidence now that I can actually win a golf tournament rather than just, as we spoke about at Wales, it was more focused on cuts and making it a certain number, whereas it should be, you're there to win. You're not there to come 30th, you're there to win. So I want to see now, can I put myself on that line and see if I can actually can do it?
Great. And what would you say to um, who would you say the 12-week program is for?
I'd say everyone, any person of any age, whether they're going through struggles at home, work, sport, life, anything. I think it's for everyone. I can only speak on an athlete's term, like sports, but it's been very good for me. I think even the way you tailored to me, I was expecting 12 weeks of chatting and doing techniques and all that sort of thing. But when I did see the golf stuff been sort of pushed in, it was a nice surprise for me, and it gave me that sort of focus where, or that sort of, let me see, I think the way you put in the golf, it was surprising for me because I was just expecting to, hold on, let me start that question again.
No, it's all right. I was just saying, who would you say the 12-week program is for? So you talked about
Yeah,
athletes, you talked about people outside of sport and how it
yeah,
could address a lot of things, but the fact that it was tailored towards you
yeah.
and the framework itself can be adapted and adjusted for sports, right? But I think we honed in obviously on your golf, right?
Yeah, so I think, as I said, you adding the sport for me was a big surprise because I thought just for the 12 weeks, it was just going to be stuff I could do in the house, do at home. And I think adding in that golf was great for me because it was something that I obviously love to do and really focus on, but I thought you were just not going to sort of go into that a wee bit. And seeing the results that I'm getting at golf has then go, right, okay, if I can change my golf state, I can change actually my off golf state around the house or out with my friends or whatever that may be. And I think I really, really enjoyed that. So I think for people, whether they're working in business that you work with or family life, I think adding in goals from all sort of branches of the tree would be really good.
Mhm. And you talked earlier about, before you started, there was little bit of skepticism about hypnosis and mental training in general, right? What would you say to anyone who's on the fence about the 12-week program itself? What would you say to someone?
Just give it a go. I think for anyone out there that needs the help, just ask for it. People are there to help. People like yourself deserve a bigger platform, and you've changed my life for sure. You've changed many people's lives for sure, and it's not just me saying that. The results show it. My golf shows it. My outer golf shows it. My family can see it. My friends can see it. So I think I can only speak on myself, but really give it a go. I mean, there's YouTube videos out there that probably can show you what hypnosis is like before you can even, speak to yourself, or NLPs. There's people like Paul McKenna. Maybe people know him probably a wee bit more. So it's been really, really good. And I would advise people to give it a go.
Great. And so I mean, it's been fantastic working with you and seeing the
Yeah.
progress. And again, we have evidence for all the performance, right?
Yep.
The performance increases and the performance improvements. Um, so look, great speaking to you, Patrick. What would any closing thoughts or reflections, what's the one thing that you've taken away from the 12-week program about yourself, right? What have you learned about yourself?
I think for me, obviously, I was probably mentally stronger than I thought I was. Obviously, you go through these, everyone goes through struggles throughout the day. And I think from where I was in October to now, it's like I don't ever want to go through that again. It might happen, that's okay. But I think just accepting for what the day gives you and just reframing correctly, I think I've learned a lot of life skills that I can use until the day I pass. So I can't thank you enough for that, as I've told you before. But that's thank you as well. I thank Dara for giving me the opportunity to even speak to you. Like I wouldn't have known you without Dara, so I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, great stuff. And it's been fantastic working with you, seeing your progress, seeing your journey,
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
your growth. I mean that. And but again, like I appreciate the feedback for sure and the kind
yeah,
words, but you did the work.
yeah.
Let's not forget that too, right?
True.
That's where it works both ways, doesn't it?
It
Because
does, yeah.
we create the space here, but ultimately I can't be there every day, right? So you got to go and
No,
do the work, and you did. You did everything that was assigned, like absolutely everything week to week, and that's all I can ask for from clients. Once you do it, you will see a difference, right? And
no,
as
you
you
will for
said,
sure.
right, you said your mind's in a better place, and
Yeah.
you've said your life's in a better place.
Like even the accountability too, you set out this thing for me to do in Quinza. Just do it because if I don't do it, I won't progress anywhere, and you will see the results once you actually do it. Trust me.
Nice one. Great stuff, Patrick, and thanks for your time.
No, my
It's been
pleasure.
great working with you, and I really appreciate this time giving this feedback. And we'll be keeping an eye out on your journey from here on
Absolutely.
at professional level. Good man.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Patrick.
much. See you later.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Cheers.